So when we get to the question and answer portion of our session, do note that it is being recorded, and that will help anyone who is participating by watching the video recording gain the benefit of your questions. So like I said, we will have a question and answer portion later on in this session, but without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Okay, so on today's training, we are going to cover just an overview of what the portal is, why we're making the change, and exactly what or how it is changing. We'll talk a little bit about the roles in the portal, and then I am joined today by Wade Gale and Tawhid Ali of the Bank of New York Mellon, so that they can provide a live demonstration in the portal to show you how to respond to a registration invitation and set up your account, how to log into the portal, some of the tools and widgets that are on what's called My Dashboard, the landing page in the portal, and then they'll talk you through how to access business applications such as GMAP 1.0 and GinnieNet. Then we'll come back and we'll give you a few tips for how to, navigate the portal efficiently, and how to talk to you about registering for the Oracle Mobile Authenticator. You'll learn more about that later on. We'll give you some resources and tools that'll help you navigate the portal and answer a lot of questions for you when we're not around, and then we will open it up to a Q&A. So what is MyGinnieMae? MyGinnieMae is basically a house. It houses our existing legacy systems of GMAP 1.0 and GinnieNet, and our modernized applications. For example, the multifamily pool delivery module, our platinum pool processing application, and soon our single family pool delivery module. It also has some resources that kind of boost some efficiencies, creates an ability for our administrators to create reports and audit trails regarding the users of the system. The portal provides enhanced security, and that's the bottom line here, folks. We are moving over to this new platform because it is more secure, and there are federal security requirements that require that we do so. But there are a lot of benefits that come with that, including a single point of entry to all of our systems. That means one username and one password gets you access to all of the existing systems, the new modernized applications that you need to do business with, regardless of how many issuer IDs and account types that you have in our legacy systems. It is one username and password to get into our systems, and that username is your corporate email address. So there's a lot of efficiencies and security to be gained by this change. Next slide. So again, as I mentioned, MyGinnieMae is a house. It is a house with a deadbolt on the front door is what you're getting here. So basically what happens is when you go to enter into the house of MyGinnieMae, you have to enter a username, a password, and a one-time PIN. That's called multi-factor authentication, when you use multiple factors to enter in. And once you've entered those three factors, the deadbolt unlocks, and you can now access the rooms inside of the house that you are supposed to have access to. If you're a multifamily issuer, you can get to multifamily pool delivery module. If you're an administrator in the system, you can get to the access management console. If you're an end user in our systems that need to access GMAP 1.0 or GinnieNet, you will be able to do that as well. Those are also rooms that are in the house called MyGinnieMae. So again, you enter through the front door with your multi-factor authentication, and then you will have access to all the rooms you need to access without having to unlock any more doors. Those rooms are open and available to you if you are supposed to have access to them. Next slide. So again, why are we making the change? Like I mentioned, folks, this is all about security. We have to adhere to federal security requirements, and our legacy systems don't get us there. So we introduced MyGinnieMae because it does meet those federal security requirements. Like I mentioned, there are some additional benefits to that and a couple of other changes of note. So single sign-on, as I mentioned, you will enter a username, which is your corporate email address, a password, and then a one-time PIN in order to get into the system. So one username, one password, and then multi-factor authentication using a one-time PIN in order to access the portal. Now that PIN can be delivered either to your email address or to a smart device if you should choose, and I do encourage you to choose that option. And we'll talk more about how to register for the Oracle Mobile Authenticator to get that PIN delivered to your smart device. But those three factors get you into the portal. Now you've probably encountered OTP or multi-factor authentication in your personal and work lives. You know, prior to this point in time, I don't expect that for most of you this is going to be new. Nothing to be afraid of here. It's a username, a password, and then a PIN, a numeric PIN that you can have sent to your email or to a smart device. And then you get into the portal and all of the applications you need to access. Something else that's a little bit different, we have functional roles now. You don't really need to worry so much about exactly which systems you need access to in order to do your job. You just need to know what your job is. And by knowing your business functions and responsibilities, you can work with administrators to get you the right access. So as we begin to continue to modernize our business applications and introduce new functionality, you don't need to keep up with all of that. We will actually provide that functionality to you via your functional roles. So just make sure that your business responsibilities are clearly understood and the proper role is assigned, and you will be good to go. And you are provided that access through what's called an invitation model. Once you get into the portal, the way that you establish an account and get functional roles has been automated through a workflow in the portal. There are no paper forms that need to be completed in order to get access in MyGinnieMae. Next slide. So here's kind of how it's changing. Our legacy environment of GMEP 1.0 and GinnieNet versus our modernized environment of MyGinnieMae. In our legacy environment, GinnieMae admins had to provide access to users. Those are admins that were at the Bank of New York Mellon. That's no longer true. Now, your organization administrator, formerly known as a security officer or enrollment administrator in our legacy systems, at your own organization provides you access to the portal. It used to be in our legacy environment that issuers had to provide access to their subservicers. That is no longer true. Our subservicers now have their own organization administrators, and they manage the employees of their organization. Via the HUD 11707, we know which issuers those subservicers subservice for, and we make those connections in the system on the back end. There is no additional work for you to do as a subservicer to make sure that you have access to your issuers. In our legacy systems, you used to go directly to the URL to log into those systems. That's no longer true. You'll go to my.ginniemae.gov, and once you log in there, you will have access to those legacy systems. So you no longer use those old credentials and those old URLs. In our legacy environment, you had a separate username and password for each system, and that got you into the portal or into those systems. But in the new portal, you also have to have a one-time PIN. It's that multi-factor authentication, adds an additional layer of security and keeps those business transactions secure. In our legacy systems, you had to know exactly which applications you needed access to, and that's no longer true in our MyGinnieMae environment. As long as you have been assigned a proper functional role based on your business responsibilities, any system that you need access to will be provided to you. Again, you know, in our legacy systems, there is a separate email and password or username and password for each system. Now, it's just one username and one password to get you in. And I should also mention that if you're a token holder, When you begin to use your token in our legacy systems through MyGinnieMae, meaning you logged in through MyGinnieMae to get to legacy systems, when it pops up asking you to for a username when you're entering your RSA token, that username is your username for MyGinnieMae. If it says MGM ID, it's your username for the portal. So your corporate email address is your username throughout the system once you log in through MyGinnieMae. Also, in our legacy systems, password and profile management activities were performed by GinnieMae admins at the Bank of New York Mellon. No longer in our modernized environment do you need to contact an admin to assist you when you've forgotten your password or need to change your password. Those are functions that you can complete on your own as an end user of the system. There is a forgot password link on the login screen, so you don't need to make a phone call or to contact anyone for help. You're able to manage that function completely on your own. So a little bit about the different roles in MyGinnieMae. I'm going to start at the bottom of this slide because this training is targeting our end users. End users are the various types of users of the portal that are conducting business transactions. So if you're a user that needs to complete any pooling transactions, reporting transactions in the system, you are what we call an end user. And you need a functional role assigned to you in order to complete those functions. Now, if you step up from there, we have what's called an organization administrator. Organization administrators are privileged users in our systems that are able to onboard end users and manage those accounts. Okay, they do not have a business function attached to them. Now, an organization administrator could also be an end user in the portal, but just the simple fact that you are an organization administrator does not give you that access. It gives you the security privilege to onboard and manage end user accounts. There is a separation of duties within the registration workflow that we'll talk about later. I have a graphic to explain that to you. And then there's an operations administrator. The operations administrators are the folks at the Bank of New York Mellon on behalf of GinnieMae, as well as some folks at GinnieMae who are able to manage accounts throughout the portal for privileged users, meaning organization administrators. So it's the operations administrators that are onboarding the organization administrators at each organization. And then it's the organization administrators at each organization that are onboarding the end users that are employed by their organization. And that's a little bit about the different roles that exist in the portal. Next slide. So now more about functional roles. These are the roles that are based upon your business activities. What we did is we reached out to our issuers to help us and our subservicers and our document custodians to help us create what we call functional roles. We listened to how your organizations have organized your business, and we created roles accordingly. If you drop to the bottom of this particular table, you can see SS Investor Reporting Basic Role. That is Subservicer Investor Reporting Basic Role. This is just one of the functional roles that are available to our subservicers. This particular user can submit monthly pool and loan level accounting data, submit quarterly custodial account verification data, review monthly remittance information, and review monthly reporting exception and feedback errors. If this is your job, then your organization administrator will assign you this functional role, and all of the systems that you need in order to do business with GinnieMae will be provided to you. Now, the true benefit here is that as we continue to modernize our systems and move away from legacy systems, we can ensure, if you have been provided the proper functional role, that any new functionality we introduced will be automatically provided to you via that functional role. And there lies the true benefit. Next slide. So here's the onboarding workflow. This is how access is provided and how you establish an account in MyGinnieMae. So you can see we have what's called a registration workflow. This is a request and approval workflow that creates an account for each user in MyGinnieMae. Once that account is created, we have another access workflow with a request and approval process to give you a functional role. Once those two workflows have been completed, it's what we call our onboarding workflow, and a user will then be able to log in the portal and access the business applications that they need to do business with GinnieMae. Let's talk through these steps. Starting on the left-hand side of the screen, you will see that there is a requesting organization administrator. This is an organization administrator who has sent an email registration invitation to an end user. When the end user receives that email, there's a link in there that they select in order to get to an electronic registration form. They complete some fields in that form and then submit it. A second organization administrator, meaning not the organization administrator that requested that registration access for this particular user, but a second organization administrator will go in and either reject or approve that request to establish an account. Once the account has been approved, that organization administrator will immediately proceed to request functional roles for that user. Once that organization administrator has requested those functional roles, another organization administrator, meaning not the organization administrator that requested the functional roles, but another organization administrator will go in and approve that functional role or those functional roles. Once those functional roles have been approved, the operations administrator at the Bank of New York Mellon on behalf of GinnieMae will complete what's called acknowledgement or final acknowledgement. They do the final approval in order for that user account to be completely established and the roles to be assigned. Once that has been completed, the end user will receive a welcome email that welcomes them to the portal and lets them know they can log into the portal. And then they will also receive another email assigning their functional role or informing them that their functional roles have been assigned. So once that user has received both emails, when they log into the portal, they will then be able to navigate to the business applications that they need to do business with GinnieMae. And that is the complete onboarding workflow with registration and access via a functional role assignment in MyGinnieMae. Next slide. Okay, my favorite part of the day. This is when Wade Gale and Tawhid Ali at the Bank of New York Mellon join us to provide you a live demonstration in our test environment to show you some of the functionality that you'll need as an end user. Wade, Tawhid?
Thank you, Letitia, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tawhid Ali from Bank of New York Mellon, and today I'll be assisting with the demo. So as we start, I'll give you an overview on how to register once the invitation is sent to you by your admin or administrator. And we'll also go over how to log into MyGinnieMae and navigating through the system. So as you can see on the screen, the email which is sent to you by your administrator will have a subject title of Welcome to MyGinnieMae Registration. So this way you will know that this is the invitation you received. Now you will see a link on the email which you will have to click to navigate to the registration page. It also gives you an instruction on the fields you must complete. And so once you click onto the link, you will be taken to the new user registration form. And one thing to note, the link is only valid for 24 hours, so it's crucial that you register right away when you receive the invitation.
And Toya, before you continue, can I just say something?
Sure.
When you do get this link from your org admin, also you just want to check for the spelling of your name, make sure everything is correct. Because at this point, if something is not right, you don't have to go through and fill it out. You can just inform them that some changes need to be made. They can make the change and send you another another invitation. So you just want to just be a little, just check your names and the information that's there. And if it's okay, you go ahead. But if you notice that something is incorrect, you can tell them that you're not going to accept this. You're just going to have them to resend another one. Thank you. Toyd, you can go. Thanks.
Thank you, Wade. So yes, what Wade said, you will see your name, first name, middle name, your last name, and the email grayed out. And this is because your administrator has sent the registration with your information. So if it's not correct, this is the time for you to take a look, verify, and if not correct, to send it back to your administrator to send you a new registration. So once you confirm that your name is correct, you then go down to the title. So here you have the option to select your title. So we'll go ahead and select the appropriate one for us. After, we will enter the work phone number. And note, this is a required field. You must enter your office phone number. Next, we have the mobile phone number, which is optional. Then we have the password and confirm password. This is the same password you'll be using when logging into MyGinnieMae with your email ID. So once you confirm your password, you then have the option to enter your token information or the token serial number. So here you will have the option to either select yes or no. No if you don't, and if you do, you will select yes and enter the serial number. And you will then confirm that serial number. Once you confirm, you will then agree with the terms and condition. And once you have read through the conditions, you will then scroll down and select yes and agree. Then you will go ahead and accept the privacy policy. If you agree, please click yes. And once you're satisfied with all the information you have entered, you can now go ahead and click Finish. And once you click Finish, the registration will be sent to your admin for approval. And once it is approved, you will then be given functional roles based on your position at your company. And once the role has been finalized by operation, you will receive a Welcome to MyGinnieMae portal email, which will instruct you on how to log into MyGinnieMae. So we'll now go ahead and go to MyGinnieMae portal and show you guys how to log in. So once you go to myginniemai.gov, you will see this page on the screen. You will then, on the top right, click Login. And you're taken to the initial authentication page. This is where you will enter your user ID, which is your email, and the password which you entered during registration.
I just want to pass this on to the users for training purposes, and knowing since Wade Gale is actually a part of the demo, they just want to make sure Wade is able to enter the information correctly, so it's already auto-feed to the system. We don't recommend that you do that, but for training, they have it set up that, so I'll try and get it right.
Okay.
If everything is right? Yes, I got it.
All right. So once you have successfully entered your correct email and password, you will land onto the multi-factor authentication page. Now, please note here you have the option of receiving your one-time PIN through your email, or you have the option of receiving it through the Oracle Mobile Authenticator. Now, this is a mobile app that is installed in your smart device, which you can register with, and you can receive your one-time PIN through the Mobile Authenticator application. So for today's purpose, we'll select on the Mobile Authenticator option and click OK. And here, you do have the option to click on the Oracle Mobile Authenticator instruction link, which will guide you on how to install the application and register your account. So if your account is registered and you select the Mobile Authenticator option, you will enter the 6-digit one-time PIN. And do note these PIN from the Mobile Authenticator is good for 30 seconds and it resets to a new one. So you will have to be fast to enter the number before it expires. So if the OTP is correct, you will now land on the My Dashboard page. Now here, if this is your first time entering MyGinnieMae, you will have to select your issuer ID. And you do this by first clicking under your name. And here you have the issuer ID and the select dropdown. So you will have to select your issuer before continuing, and this is crucial. So let's go ahead and select one of our issuer. And once you do, the page will refresh, and based on the roles, you will receive and see the appropriate information on the screen. So a quick overview here, you will see the carousel and the banner on the top here where crucial information will be updated for your viewing. And going down, you will see widgets, which will give you different information, again, based on the roles that was provided to you. And we do have the message section where you will receive messages from GinnieMae or the executive or other related messages. So once we scroll up to the page, again, for accessing your organization, for example, say you need to go to GinnieNet. Here you will have the option to single sign on to GinnieNet. And you can see that under Tools dropdown, you have GinnieNet. So you'll click on that, and it will take you to GinnieNet. And the same goes for GMAP1. If you do reporting or any other related application in GMAP1, you can select the application, and it'll single sign you on. And another thing to note, if you are subservicing to other issuer numbers, you will have to select that specific issuer ID. And the way we do this is the same way as when we selected our organization in the beginning. You will click on the issuer ID dropdown, and based on the relationship you have with the issuers, you will have the option to select. And that's few of the options you'll have on the portal and the dash. And I'll hand it over to Letitia now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tawhid and Wade, for that demonstration. So we're going to go ahead and switch back over to our presentation. There's a couple more slides to cover before we get to our Q&A. The first one are some helpful tips. some things that you need to know, as any user of the portal will need to know in order to be able to navigate it more smoothly. The first one is do not bookmark the login page. So if you're one of those people that likes to bookmark in your web browser, which I think is an awesome idea, just make sure you're bookmarking the correct page. So the page where you enter your username and password is called the login page. That is not the page you want to bookmark. Doing so can create some problems with your cache and cookies and cause the page not to load properly at times. If you begin on the public landing page at my.ginniemae.gov, there's no www there, it's just my.ginniemae.gov. If you start there, in the top right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a button that says Login that will then take you to the login page. Doing it this way will, A, introduce you to banner messages and let you know of any portal outages and information before you go to login, but it will also prevent those errors from occurring that can often occur when you are bookmarking the login page. So please, if you're going to bookmark, make it my.ginniemae.gov. You should know that MyGinnieMae is available using Chrome, Internet Explorer, or Firefox. They're all supported browsers. However, Chrome is the preferred browser for MyGinnieMae, for accessing MyGinnieMae. Yet there are some issues. Legacy systems sometimes prefer Internet Explorer. So while we're in this world where we are modernizing but still having to deal with our legacy systems, there's this little bear that we're going to have to tackle. And so on occasion, if you are finding as you're working in legacy systems that some of the functions or buttons aren't popping up for you, like curtailment, you might want to switch the browser that you're working in, and that could fix many of those issues. So just a little bit of a bear to know about. As we continue to modernize and remove our applications from legacy systems and house them on the portal, there'll be less and less of that, but something to note for now. Then the other thing that you need to know, and this is very, very, very important, I need everyone to pay attention right now. Your pop-up blocker on your web browser, regardless of what browser you are using, must be disabled. Pop-up blocker must be disabled. You have to disable pop-up blocker. If you do not disable your pop-up blocker, it will impact your ability to function in the portal. You will not get the pop-ups and notifications that you need in order to log in and navigate in the portal. So again, it doesn't matter if you're accessing it through Chrome, Internet Explorer, or Firefox, you absolutely must disable the pop-up blocker. If you do not, you will be unhappy. You will probably call GinnieMae customer support, and that is the first thing they are going to tell you to do. So do it now. Disable the pop-up blocker on your web browser to ensure that you're able to navigate the portal appropriately. Next slide. Okay, so there's a few things here that I want to remind you guys as an end user you're able to do on your own, okay? If you have forgotten your password, when you go to the login page, there is a link there for forgot password. You can reset your password on your own. If you want to change your password, maybe you believe that your password has been compromised, you can reset your password all by yourself. Every 90 days, you're going to want to log into the portal and change your password. At day 81, you will begin to get email prompts encouraging you to do so. Do not go 90 days without activity on your account, and I'll explain why in just one moment. You can register or deregister for the Oracle Mobile Authenticator on your own. If you can only have Oracle Mobile Authenticator on one device at a time, if you have changed phones or would like to have it delivered to a different device, you can deregister the existing device and re-register with a new device all on your own. You don't need anyone to help you with that. There are also certain account attributes that you can update on your own by going to My Profile. If you need to update your business title or your telephone number, those are things that you can actually manage on your own. Now, if you need to update an RSA token number or some other critical information in what are called grayed out boxes, you'll want to contact your organization administrator to assist. Now, you will see that there are several functions here that the organization administrator has to do on your behalf or can assist you with. You're welcome to contact them if you need help. If you need a new functional role, if your account has been disabled or otherwise locked, You know, if you need to update your RSA token, those are all functions that the organization administrator is able to assist you with. Now, you'll notice that in the far right column, the operations administrator, that's the administrators at the Bank of New York Mellon and GinnieMae, have only 1 star on this entire sheet. That is to finalize functional rule requests. They are that is the only function that they complete on behalf of end users. I say this to mean that if you need assistance with managing your account or your account access and you are an end user in the portal, there's pretty much nothing that the operations administrator is able to do for you. You have to contact the organization administrators at your organization to assist. Now, let's bring this back. I said you'll want to log into the portal every 90 days. If you allow your account to go inactive, meaning you have not logged in 90 days, here's what happens. Your account is disabled and your functional roles are removed automatically, so that the next time you log in, you will need your account to be re-enabled, and you will need an organization administrator to request functional roles for you and another organization administrator to approve functional roles for you, and then the operations administrator to finalize those functional roles for you. So if this is an urgent situation where you have not accessed your account in more than 90 days and you need quick access to the portal, you're probably not going to get it, because you have to rely on 3 other individuals to request, approve, and finalize your account access before you'll be able to get in. So, as an end user, I strongly encourage you to help yourself and your organization administrators by not allowing your account to go 90 days inactive. Every 90 days, you must change your password anyway. At day 81, you will begin to get email notifications every day until day 90, reminding you until you do so. Pay attention to those emails and listen to them and change your password promptly, and you will never have a problem, okay? Next slide. So again, Tauhid and Wade showed you how to access the instructions for registering with Oracle Mobile Authenticator. Something to note here is that the one-time PIN may be delivered to your corporate email address. However, we have noticed that with some organizations with very strict firewalls, there is a delay and sometimes the OTP is not received. That is actually there's nothing on our end that we can do about the firewall and security restrictions at your organizations. So what we have done is we have introduced another way for you to establish or deliver an OTP, receive an OTP, and that is through a smart device. That could be an iPad, a phone. It can be a personal device or a work-issued device, but through an app on your smart device, you can register for the Oracle Mobile Authenticator and attach that to your MyGinnieMae account so that it will generate a PIN that you can use as your multi-factor authentication, as part of your multi-factor authentication. It is so much easier to navigate, and I strongly encourage you to go ahead, follow those instructions. They're available in your user manual. There is a quick reference card, which is available in the banner on the portal, and then there is also the instructions where Tauhid and Wade showed you on the multi-factor authentication screen in the portal. Access those instructions, download that app, and I promise you, you're going to love me for it. Next slide. Okay, so there are some frequently asked questions that have come up from time to time and that I want to get to before we open up for Q&A. So the question is going to come up, now that I have a MyGinnieMae account, can I still log in through using my old credentials to GMAP 1.0 and GinnieNet directly, or do I have to go through the portal? Eventually, I promise you, you're going to want to go through the portal. But the answer to this question is you can, but please don't. There have been problems that have in our pilot environment. You know, when we ran our pilot, there were problems that came up for some users that continued to log into both systems, MyGinnieMae and legacy systems. So we strongly encourage you not to do so. But how long will you be able to access those legacy systems directly? You do have a 90-day window for your organization to be able to continue to access those systems directly. So that date for our Wave 2 organizations is June 3rd. So you will have until June 3rd where you can access those legacy systems directly. But after that point in time, we will be removing that access, and you will not be able to log into those systems directly. You will be required to go through MyGinnieMae. So June 3rd is the date for the organizations that are in Wave 2 to have to use MyGinnieMae exclusively. Okay. Next slide. So here's some resources for you. If you're not already familiar with the modernization page on the GinnieMae website, you'll want to get familiar. All the information you could possibly need is right there. If you go to GinnieMae.gov, you hover over the Issuer tab, there will be a drop-down that you'll see Issuer Training, and underneath that you'll see Modernization. Select Modernization and it opens up Pandora's box. There's a section on MyGinnieMae where we have posted all of the user manuals, the quick reference cards, the training overviews, which are the presentations from these training events. We also have recordings of these trainings, as well as the release and training schedule. If you wanted to participate in additional live sessions, those are identified in the release and training schedule. All of that information is available on the modernization page. We're also having weekly listening sessions every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, except on the days like today where we have a training event. You can call into those listening sessions, and we'll have experts available from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time that will answer your questions. We will give you additional information as it becomes available about the portal, and you can even listen and hear from your peers about best practices and things that they're encountering as they're beginning their journey in MyGinnieMae. If you have technical questions about accessing the portal or using the applications on the portal, information that you're seeing on your dashboard, or other connectivity issues, please contact GinnieMae Customer Support, 1-833-GNMA-HELP. And they can assist you with those things or direct you to who is appropriate to assist you. If you have general questions about the release of MyGinnieMae, our training and user materials, other general inquiries about MyGinnieMae or our modernization efforts, please reach out to the Customer Experience Group at GinnieMae. That's cxg@hud.gov. Okay, next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the last slide. Sorry about that. So real quick, guys, we're going to launch a poll to get your feedback about how today's session went. And so if you can, please look in your chat box for the link to that poll. Your information that you provide us through these polls and these surveys go all the way up to our senior executives. So we take this feedback very seriously, and we communicate it throughout the organization all the way up the chain. So please do provide feedback for us so that we can give our executives a sense of, how things are going for you and how you're feeling about all of the modernization efforts and the portal. So we're going to open it up for question and answer. There are 3 ways that you can join us. The first one, if you joined today's meeting using the audio on your computer, the bottom of your screen, there's a button for you to raise your hand. If you raise your hand, it will indicate that you want us to unmute your line so that you can ask the question over your computer audio. If you joined today's call using a telephone, you can hit *9 on your phone, and that will indicate for us that you would like for us to unmute your line so you can ask a question over the phone line. And if you would like to just do the old-fashioned type it out, There is at the bottom of your screen a section for Q&A. You can actually type your question in the Q&A, and we will address it during the session through the Q&A as well. So again, raise your hand from the bottom of your screen if you're on your computer audio. Select *9 on your telephone if you're on a phone line, or type it into the Q&A at the bottom of the screen so that we can answer your questions right now.
Nobody yet.
And for those, nobody yet. Okay. For those who don't have any burning questions, go ahead and take these few moments to select that link in the chat box so that you can complete your survey before you leave today's session. Okay, so I have a couple questions that are coming in through the Q&A, and let's begin. So the question is, will issuers be notified when subservicers add end users? The answer is no. Issuers have no way of managing user accounts on behalf of subservicers. So it is the organization administrators at the subservicer that are managing user accounts on behalf of the subservicer, and it's those admins that are tracking those end users. So issuers will not be notified when subservicers add users to their organization. If you would like to know who the users are in your subservicer's organization, you'll need to contact that subservicer and request that list. The next question is, do we have any updates coming for GinnieNet? The answer is yes, actually, we do. I'm not sure what type of organization you are with, but we are in the process of working on our single-family pool delivery module, SFPDM, and we do anticipate being able to release that at least in pilot form very soon. So we are actively working on pulling functionality out of our legacy systems and putting it in a modernized application on the portal. That is an ongoing effort we've been working on for quite a while, and we continue to work on. And as things, applications and tools are made available, we will continue to introduce them and roll them out to you. Ian, do I have any questions on the line?
Nope, nobody else.
Okay. Once again, if you have not already done so, please open up the chat box from the bottom of the window. For some of you, it may be showing on the right side of your screen. If it's not, please open up the chat box from the bottom of your window. There is a feedback survey there. Select the link and make sure that you leave us feedback on today's session. Any questions or concerns that you have, you're welcome to type them on that survey. You're welcome, Chris. And don't hesitate to join us each Thursday when we have a weekly listening session if there are some questions. And there are no silly questions here, folks. Not at all. We know that we've been eating, sleeping, and breathing MyGinnieMae for a few years now, but it's brand spanking new to you, and we are aware of that. And we want to make sure that we give you any information that you need to make your job easier. So don't hesitate to ask. EXG@HUD.gov if you have some general questions or would like more information about training and this effort, okay? Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. I appreciate you joining. Have a wonderful day and enjoy your MyGinnieMae experience.